Hey guys, Phil here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I've got a brand new guitar that I wanted to share with you guys, a brand new acoustic that I picked up recently from the guys down at Guitar in Camden in London. And it is a Clark electro acoustic guitar. Now this is a new brand for me, a brand that I hadn't come across until I went into the store. I was looking for a new electro acoustic to use to play live, and I had a Taylor that I'd had for a couple of years, but unfortunately it took quite a battering on tour, ended up getting smashed to bits, getting knocked over by somebody backstage, and it got glued back together. But sadly that guitar no longer really functions or sounds how it had originally sounded, which I was really gutted about because it was a great sounding guitar. It was the 314, which is an all mahogany guitar. It sounded really warm, really lush. It sounded really great on gigs. So I was looking for a new guitar. Anyway, I came across this brand, amazingly well priced. I think it cost me just over £1,000, which for the quality of the playability and the tone of this guitar and the features is just absolutely incredible. So I'd highly recommend that you check them out. They are an Australian company, and the unique thing about these guitars is that they have designed the guitars from the ground up around the pickup system. So it's a pickup system that belongs to Clark. No one else can copy it. It has a patent on it. And essentially it works with a combination of a few microphones and a classic piezo system. Now, I don't know exactly what magic and wizardry they've done in the electronics, but essentially what you have is your kind of classic 3-band EQ, your volume, but then you have two mics. So one that is embedded in the body, in the top of the guitar, around down here, and then you've got one in the bridge. So on the pickup controls, you've got it labeled as the bridge mic and the face mic. And essentially what that enables you to do is balance the sound of the mid-range of the guitar. Now, usually when you go direct with an acoustic guitar, you end up with that horrible plastic quacky kind of sound, and your really lovely sounding guitar that you've spent your hard-earned money on ends up sounding a bit cheap and a bit cheerful. It usually always sounds better acoustic rather than plugged in. Plugging our acoustic guitars in ends up making them sound worse. Whereas this guitar, it sounds great unplugged, but it really shines when it's plugged in, which is really not the usual experience that we have when playing electroacoustics. And so what those two mics do is they kind of interact with that quacky mid-range that you get in the piezo pickup, and they essentially kind of cancel it out and give you a mic'd up sound. Now, the sound that you just heard in that intro clip, that is the guitar straight into my audio interface. There is absolutely no post EQ, there is no post compression. I have done absolutely nothing to it. You are literally hearing the guitar straight into Logic, straight through my M Audio interface, absolutely nothing else in the way. So there's nothing coloring it. So that is the sound that you get, and it's absolutely incredible. I could not believe how good it sounded when I first plugged it in. So as I say, you've got your classic 3-band EQ on there. You've got your mic control, a volume control, and then you can blend between these two mics, which basically changes it from sounding a bit honkier to a bit more scooped. So I'll show you that now. So if I play an E chord, this is the settings, my favorite settings, we have it on at the minute. Now I'm just gonna turn the mic all the way around to the bridge so you can hear what it sounds like with just the bridge mic. So it's a bit more scooped, there's less mid-range. If I go all the way around to the face mic, you'll hear it sounds much more nasally. But I've also lost some of that low-end boom as well. So if I kind of blend it to, I like just a little bit more of the face mic, so not quite 50-50, probably something like 60-40, something like that. To me, that sounds nice and balanced. Now, the thing that I also really like about this system, because you've got those mics in there with it going direct, you can hear all of the sort of natural fumbling sounds of the guitar, which is going to give you a much more natural, authentic, organic sounding mic'd up guitar sound, but without needing to use actual mics. So even for recording, for home recording, for demos, or if you're kind of going to do a production where there's going to be lots of layers, actually I think this would work really well. You don't necessarily need to have a really expensive condenser where you need to make sure that the room is dead silent and all of those kinds of things. So I think this is going to be an amazing solution for loads of people. So that's kind of the pickup system, but let me tell you about the woods. So as I say, it's this Australian brand, and the woods are Australian woods. So they are probably not as familiar than what we're used to seeing on most guitars of this type. It is an African mahogany neck and headstock, so that's familiar to us, but everything else is new. So the top wood is a wood called Bunya, a wood that I've never come across before, and I think it sounds good. I couldn't tell you what it sounds similar to, but it has its own sound and it looks nice. The back and sides, they are made from oak, or silky oak is what they say on the spec sheet, and they're all completely solid woods. So there's no laminate on this guitar, it's all completely solid. And then the fretboard, this nice light coloured fretboard, is Eucalypt wood. And then the binding has got this really beautiful binding. I'll show you that on the close-up close-up camera rather. This really beautiful binding. It looks like maple. I don't think it is maple, but it's a nice light wood that sort of reminds me of a maple binding on guitars that we're more familiar with. So really beautiful woods. Now on its own, without being plugged in, kind of doesn't have loads of bottom end weight, but as I say, the whole concept of this guitar is for players who want to use it on stage, have it plugged in. Maybe you're doing kind of acoustic gigs in clubs, or maybe you're a worship leader in a church and you want to use it for Sunday services, something like that. What you're not using the guitar for is kind of recording sessions where it's going to be under a microscope with really expensive mics, where, you know, those really expensive guitars that cost £3,000, £4,000, £6,000 £6,000. That's where they really shine, in those kind of isolated studio settings. But in a loud live setting with lots of people, in one sense, you don't really hear all of the lovely details of those instruments. So it's kind of superfluous. What you really want is something that's going to sound really good plugged in, feel nice to play, and is going to sound pleasing to everyone in the room, and just be a really great solid guitar. And that's exactly what this is. It's got Grover tuners and just a really lovely simple Abalone inlaid rosette, and then Abalone regular dots on the fretboard, regular black side dots. Might have been nice for them to be glow in the dark or something like that, if you're kind of playing slightly darker rooms or darker stages. But anyway, an absolutely brilliant guitar. I couldn't recommend it enough. I'm in no way affiliated. I just bought this as a punter in the shop, and it's really, really brilliant. I'd highly recommend going and checking them out. I'm going to play a couple more things so you can hear the guitar in action, and then what I'm going to do at the end is I'm just going to put a couple of different acoustic impulse responses so you can hear what that sounds like. And then I'd be interested to hear your guys' thoughts, whether you think it sounds best just going completely raw as it is, or whether you think the tone is improved using an acoustic impulse response pedal. That's a really popular thing to do at the moment. Have your acoustic guitar, an acoustic IR, maybe going into something like an LR Baggs Venue DI for some additional EQ. I don't have one of those, but I will put on a couple of different impulse responses so you can kind of hear how that impacts the tone as well. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you found this review of this guitar helpful, and go and enjoy checking one out for yourself.